we don't miss anything as well. It's not riveting. You won't be watching it late on a Friday night for entertainment purposes. But let me just share screen. Um, yeah. So we sent this through, right? But just to sort of talk it through. So, and if you've got any questions, chip in at any time, right? So clearly the first thing that we do and what we want to see is what actually happens when we put in, just the name itself, right? So the first thing that we're looking for, well, generally, actually, the first thing is to see if we've got any competing Google ads. Often, what will happen in certain industries, you'll actually have people running an ad over the top of you. But then,
right.
in this case, that's not the case, right? Because you might have a local cafe, it can be even directory type things. But clearly, the next thing, and what's unbelievable, and we talked about this last time, 203 Google reviews at 4.3. That's pretty outstanding, right? Because people are only generally in this sort of industry, they're going to review you when it's 5-star, maybe 4. But generally speaking, or if it goes really pear-shaped, and then they'll give you a 1 or 2, right? So to have that many reviews is incredible testament to you, right? So that, as well as your Instagram, clearly is good, right? It's amazing how many businesses don't have this, right? Let alone the reviews, right? So the Google My Business there. Then the next thing is what's actually happening for this. Zomato is the strongest. So then it actually is your Facebook page is actually your next most strong search engine thing, if you like, right, for your name. And then you get into Uber Eats and Broadsheet, which is actually different to, I think this goes off, and we will have a look at where this goes off to, but you're actually using Book My Table, or I think of another one of those other sites, right, as your key. And just for Anthony again, there is a website on its way. Is that right? Or actually, there is a website. Is that right?
It's there. So as I mentioned last time, we do our cakes and pastries online.
Yeah.
Now I've redirected sardi-cafe.com.au to that.
Okay.
And we've got our menu and stuff up on that, but I haven't incorporated any of our booking services or anything on that yet.
Yeah. Clearly, you mentioned last time it's better in our model if we're sending them to where you exactly want them to be going to book. Because these ones clearly charge you a fee in what they do. But there is also advantages in terms of, we know that Zomato's coming up strongest. We know there's imagery there that could be repurposed and shared. We know there's information that can be going with that imagery if it's good and that you're happy with. I guess there is, particularly in what you've been doing, Anthony, you only have to look at the sites. There's some really good sort of video as well as imagery. My only sense with that is, the question is, for the cost or whatever it might be to actually get that video and imagery, does it actually make that much difference compared to the habit of just sharing and it's good imagery, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's consistent. So clearly, when we talk about content marketing, the spend can be in the content, right? So in actual fact, as you said, paying for the imagery, paying for the video, paying for the influencer. If we've got that sort of stuff and we don't have to pay for it, it's clearly there's no need to necessarily add to any extra cost. We just use what you already have to be able to share in terms of the post that we do, right? But we'll talk about that in a planning session realistically. I think this one actually comes through as one of the click-throughs, I think, in terms of booking, right? This looks like... do you know which platform this one is? This is...
That's Quando.
Quando, there it is. That's the one you said is your go-to at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
So Haley didn't put the actual other link to. Maybe I just have a quick look. So just go live on here. Just for Sardi. Did you say it's Sardi Dash?
Yeah.
Sardi Dash Cafe. .com.au?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Unusual that we don't explore it far enough to get to Sardi Sweets. So it's got a different name.
Yeah, so it redirects to that, yeah.
All right. So, because clearly, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but clearly for us, our strategy is to, basically have how do you contact us, including all your links up here, right? So potentially having your booking on here so you can book, even if it is in the short term to other platforms. But yeah, this website is good enough from a perspective of social media marketing to be able to repurpose content, right? Clearly, we tend to. Do you know? Is it sitting on? Do you know what sort of platform this is? Is it WordPress?
That's just a Shopify. Page.
Shopify. Okay, so clearly Shopify platform would enable you to put your links up the top and potentially some plugins that just show some newsfeed type thing as well, right? To show that you are sharing and that sort of stuff. Just with these ones, while I'm on this, you just know always to make sure that they don't click over the top of your website like that, right? So if I click on your Facebook page, so you want them to open in a new tab. So it's usually a very easy fix for people that look after their website side of things. So yeah. In fact, while I'm on here, so let's look at the couple of ones that you have. So I don't think that's a pin post, so they haven't shared for a while, right? So as you said, but they are. You can see, Anthony, there's good quality in here. What we would typically be doing though is sort of encouraging people, give us a call to book a table. Or, there's a bit of a call to action sort of finish, and maybe a couple of hashtags, right? Just to sort of which we talk about in planning sort of sessions. So habit is the first thing. Clearly the quality is good, but just that contact call to action at the end. What do you want them to do next when they've looked at the sort of we've talked about, you're kind of offering a bit of a food porn type social media, and people love that. So you cross over between entertainment as well as educating how do you book a table and when are we open sort of thing, right? Yeah. I might just look at the other link that you actually have. I think it probably will be your Instagram will be your other link, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So on that website, it's mainly, as I was mentioning, the cake business. I haven't really linked Sardi Cafe into that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is actually Alpha Click I'm in at the moment, but we'll give you a follow anyway. Okay. Realistically, so clearly, again, we would be this. I do like the fact that with your restaurant, you don't make the mistake of what a lot of people do. This is the closest to what a lot of businesses are doing, the sort of Canva smash over the top. It really has the effect of negating the benefit of the algorithm, right? Even though Facebook will allow you to do it, even with promoted messages, it doesn't mean you should. And so this is a much better way and is more likely to get your organic sort of engagement and stuff, right? Because it's just really good looking. Geez, some of this, that might have been, I imagine that's had some ads on it, potentially, right?
That was a competition, I believe.
Like
a giveaway. Yeah.
In my experience, spending $1 is actually more advantageous than competitions. Whenever I've done it, just so you know, just in my experience, just because you don't have to pay for the extra benefit of the competition, but you can work them in tandem. Just in my experience. So we had a look. So clearly, the main thing for us is just consistency, right? So when we look at all the covers should basically be the same, and we should be consistent with what we'd expect. I like that cover, right? That's a cover that could probably be used across everything because it's flexible enough. But this spot here is actually for your logo, so that should be a square logo, so that people get to know that that's the icon image, for your business, right? You don't need to put another thing because particularly once you get into mobile land, it starts to become too small, right? And you don't, your logo happens to be, and you're the same, but in any case, people want to know, oh yeah, that's Sardi, that's my local cafe sort of thing, they start to represent it. So you've done that here. So in other words, you'd have that on all of them. Yeah. And similarly with your sort of shorter bouts, your shorter bouts would also be very consistent in terms of what is it that we all want to see in front of page. This sort of stuff here almost would form the basis of what any post to Facebook would finish with, and certainly any advertising. You'd always be telling people, how do you contact us? When are we open? And where do you find out more information? Yeah. So that sort of stuff there. Clearly, Instagram doesn't have a cover. We create so this order. In actual fact, are you personally, Angad, on LinkedIn by any chance?
I am, but I'm not very active on that.
No. Yeah. So basically what we do like to do, we want you to be a good representative of your business. So we would create and certainly create your LinkedIn business card, if you like, as a business owner and head of Sardi Cafe. And we'd create the Sardi Cafe as well on LinkedIn as a company, right? And so that's the one we post to. Nowadays, you can invite connections, and particularly if you've got any business network. The spin-off to that is just another platform. We look at the 6 platform because we figure you should own the asset. And so if you look at what happened for you, where Facebook came up as the second most searchable thing, you'll find that over time that'll happen with the other things as well. And so it'll just
Sure.
mean that the people that work with you can say that they work there, and it just start to give you a little bit more sort of push out, particularly for that networking type community. It's LinkedIn clearly a more professional network, but there is a lot of people that are using it as the next best thing to business networking nowadays, right? So, and we're quite active in that space ourselves. And similarly with Twitter. So whilst the population doesn't necessarily get it and know how to use it, it is a very good mechanism for just own the brand on Twitter, connect with strategic others that are locally or industry wise, on the basis that it just helps place you. It has some benefits in search, and unlike the other algorithms, it does let everything through. So at least if people follow you, they will see your tweets. Whereas at least if they're active, right? Now, there's not as many active as what there are on Facebook and Instagram, but again, you can just own it. There's some spin-off benefits for you from a search perspective as well. We use Hootsuite, and we use a little hack because the free version of Hootsuite enables us to post. Generally, we'll go LinkedIn company, Facebook, and Instagram, but then we set it up so that Instagram posts flow through to Twitter,
Right.
basically, so that you still get the benefit of just some activity happening onto that platform. And then basically the other thing is, it's not on here, but when we looked at your Google search, what you should put as your icon for Google on the website is use your Google map. Have
Yep.
that icon, so when people click on that, it takes them, and that way they can easily review as well, straight away, and also clearly they can see location and opening hours and all that sort of stuff. And then it doesn't look like you've got uh, a YouTube channel, but
No.
you've been reviewed. So again, it just gives capacity to you'd probably feature that potentially where it's happened by somebody else, big review TV. But YouTube is actually the second best landing page you can have, almost, because we can create the landing page, or your YouTube channel. You put your website link, you put your other 5 social media or 6 social media links in there, or 5 because we've got YouTube already. And then basically they sit in the cover. And then clearly, if you're doing any video, we upload them there. If you're wanting to promote the video on Facebook, we upload it natively onto Facebook as well. But yeah, YouTube, again, from a search perspective as well as a social, is worth having, right? So just as an asset for the business, that's all. Yep. So we create that as well. It's a Google product, so ultimately, with your Google My Business, you need the same sort of. Again, you're the owner of your Google My Business. You're also the owner of your YouTube, but we just enable it so that Anthony and myself could be managers to be able to upload video and then share. What we tend to do typically with the Google My Business, because it's not a very strong social network, but we do. It does enable, since Google Plus went awry. You can post monthly updates or every second month updates,
Yeah.
and we just do that every now and again just to keep things happening. Um, so um, so that's your audit. There's nothing I don't think that you probably didn't know around that side of things. Any sort of feedback or questions around that?
Not particularly.
Often people sort of say, I'm not really sure I need to have that, or I'm not worried about. The thing about Twitter, for instance, is just you may well own the brand and the name on
Yeah.
Twitter. Just save somebody else, and ultimately, I don't know what your foreseeable plan is, but it does create an additional asset for the business. You know what I mean? It's just an online
Yeah.
asset for you. Um, so just quickly, I think I may have shown you this last time. Did I show you this last
Yeah.
time? I did, yeah. So
Yeah.
I won't overdo it then. But realistically, social media marketing ultimately sits up in your communications house. We want to work with good businesses that know their customers, have good offers, including the competition, like you mentioned. What makes their point of difference? What is the type of food, the quality of food, the pricing, the location? What makes you different? You've been in for a while now. You are part of that local community. Content marketing is just what you look like, so what you say as well as what you look like, right? So your words and your images. We do start with you, but often it's clearly not as an issue probably in your industry compared to some other industries. But there's plenty of people that get confused between their personal brand and the service they provide, right? So we just want you to be the best representative of your business on LinkedIn. That's pretty much it. It's a LinkedIn version of your business card, effectively. And then we're more interested in your business side of things as far as creating that platform. clearly in the nowadays there's B2B, B2C, C2C, so everybody could talk to anybody when it comes to social media marketing. So when we're doing social media, and particularly one day a week, we actually engage with your local community and strategic others. Usually on a Wednesday, we actually go into Facebook and get the attention of others, maybe share to a group, that sort of thing, right? Um,
Yeah, right.
so we use a repurposing strategy. So we get our content from somewhere. So we would either be using the website itself, this, as it's being updated. That website, if you're happy, has got sufficient content at least for one or two of the days to be sharing from it, right? So
Right.
I think that is, and as you go, I would think that would be our only thing that we would be sharing from. I would think,
Okay.
but we can also share from Zomato or share from the other directory sites if that's what you suggest to us, right? And clearly, the
Sure.
other thing is we could be using your Google reviews because you've got so many. One day a week could just be repurposing a Google review, right? And putting that onto the site with an image. So that's the other thing. The only thing about that is we can't clearly match up the Google review with the image unless they
Yeah.
provided it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we'll try and make them generic on the basis so that we can use them. Generally, that's not going to catch us out, I don't think. But yeah, the idea is grab it from here, share it to these 4 channels, and we do that either on a daily or every second day basis, depending on whether we're doing extra small or small business. And then I think we talked about this last time. Less than half of businesses do it. In cafes and restaurants, it would be a much higher percentage, but it would be more focused on Facebook and Instagram. And I think, as you said before, the strategy may be flimsy
Yeah.
because I think the return on investment is hard to measure if you've just got somebody at the front counter that's also the waitress or something else sort of doing it. It's not to say that it's better than doing nothing, right? But it's often then a strategy that they might post 3 or 4 times, but it might be sporadic or whatever the case might be, right? So we just, as I said, we have the habit strategy, and then we marry it up with the ads strategy where we know we're going to get bang for buck. Where we're physically looking at where's the geographic area that 80% of people are likely to come from, what sort of age grouping, if that's relevant. But it may well be, I would have thought that anyway, you've done some ads before, I think, right?
So on Facebook at the moment, we're spending anywhere from $7 to $10 a day.
Which is a better than most spend, right? So in our experience, so we encourage everybody to spend $5 a day minimum. So that's our intent. So it sounds like you're well and truly in that space. Yeah. So what sort of campaigns have you run on there?
So as I mentioned earlier, so our Facebook's outsourced to a different marketing consultant, but I mean, before COVID lockdowns and everything, I was probably getting a return on investment of about probably about I think it's 9 to 1 or something.
Okay. Do you know what?
On the acquisition cost?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Good to hear. Do you know what and that's good that you're able to say clearly the pixel must already exist then, right? In terms of traffic, is that so you have a pixel sitting on those websites? So how did you measure that? How did you measure that?
So what? Sorry, I'm just going through the spreadsheet here. So what we do is, so we've got our ad spend, and then when customers opt in on our Facebook Messenger deals, the attendant at the counter has to input their total spend, and that's how we're calculating it. So how much I'm spending on ads plus the management fees.
Sure. Sounds like that'll be good because it sounds like, well, if you think that's been working and then you've been measuring that, then that's going to be because that's. Yeah, so funnily enough,
that was working, but since
COVID happened.
Yeah, COVID happened, and then since the coming out of that, I did the maths on it, and I'm not really making too much money on that anymore. But I'm still spending probably more on ads than I was previously.
Yeah, yeah. So I think because sometimes if you're only spending $5 to $10, then compared to some digital agencies, and depending on where the spend is actually going, that's we've just taken over one where he was spending $1,000 a month, but it was difficult for him to realise that they literally take him off having access. They send a report through, but then he doesn't have access to Pixel Code, doesn't have access to his own ads manager, right? So it's all a bit unusual, smoke and mirrors, I would call it, right? Anyway, we kind of measure all that. Sounds like you're going to be a lot easier to sort of be able to go, okay, look, this is what's happening, and then also to be saying at times is saying, look, really honest, right? Is this working?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Is that we know what sort of exposure and reach and traction we expect to get, and if we're pushing for traffic or we're pushing for engagement, we kind of know what the expectation is generally for the spend. But ultimately, where the rubber hits the road is, as you said, are they spending in the cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly that's something when we do the reporting. So um, yeah, as you said, in terms of the strategy, ultimately, that in terms of you've had a look at this, right? So it's probably small
Yes.
on your screen. Yeah, so we've talked about the first thing is just create those things to protect the brand across those 6 channels, and to basically use them as an asset for your business. The idea being you're going to differentiate against your competitors because we know that most people don't do that, right? So at best, cafes are using an Instagram strategy, so that's kind of it. Um, ultimately, we want you to be top of mind, not just with the new ones that you're trying to acquire, but with the ones that are coming in and keep them coming in more. And particularly now, as you said, coming out of COVID, which we well and truly are now. So hopefully you're seeing those people return and keep coming back, right? And that's certainly, if they're not, we want to get them back and keep coming back. And then ultimately, it is about measuring. Well, we call it increased business development, but let's face it. In your case, it's increased cafe sales. Basically, is what
Yeah.
you want to have happen. Um, so we do that by creating and revising the infrastructure itself. There is some tips back to the website, so we do look at those. So I think it will be timely if you are revising that website. How hard would it be to get Sardi Cafe the URL? Would you get that, or have you got that by any chance?
So someone has purchased sardicafe.com.au. That's why I'd
Yeah.
purchase sardi-cafe.com.au.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Sardi
yeah.
hyphen.
I
I see what
tried.
you're saying. Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
that's what you told me. Sardi hyphen cafe.com.au points to Sardi Sweets. Yep. Okay.
yeah,
Got you. Yep. No worries. Um, yeah, so we'll talk about that side of things. Then as I said, we just use a mechanism of habit to the social media sites as well as Facebook advertising as our strategy. And then we measure basically by way of reporting either monthly or every second month, depending on what people are doing with us, right? I,
yeah,
I, I think we noted on here, we talked about it last time. So you've got, am I right in saying you've got Bartercard coin as well as and I think you said to me, you're not, yeah. So most people, their preference is to spend Bartercard on the setup and planning, which we accept,
yep,
right? And then Coin on the ongoing management because we don't accept Bartercard for ongoing management. That's the only thing. And then,
yep,
so again, um, uh, up to you how you want to go, from that side of things. And then the other thing I wasn't sure of whether you'd be doing daily or every second day. We often don't like to predict, but realistically, if your habit's only been 1 month, then realistically, an every second day strategy may well be sufficient for you in the first instance. We
yep,
usually offer that on the basis that, particularly when people are paying cash, then it just means they're more inclined to not scrimp on the $5 a day advertising. You know
yep.
what I mean? So we'd rather people do 242 and spend on ads than do 374 and then go, oh, I'm not going to spend on ads, right? Because one without the other doesn't really work. Yeah. So
Yeah, I understand that. And my experience with doing daily postings is almost spamming potential customers to the point that they start unfollowing.
yeah, that's
Um,
an interesting take because that's often what our more mature, and that may be relevant on some platforms. That could be the
yeah,
case on Instagram, for instance, right? Uh, but it's certainly not the case on Facebook, right? Just so you know,
right.
because basically the reality is on Facebook, only 10% of your audience, well, in a cafe's case, it can be higher. And because you're only posting monthly, you're going to get higher, right? But in the
Yeah,
main, in the States, that's gone all the way down to, 1 and 2%. In Australia, for your sort of business where you cross over into entertainment, you probably can get, 10 to 30% of your following seeing your posts. So that's hardly spammy when you're only posting. As I said, you be higher because you've only done it once a month. So they want you to post more, in fact. So it
Sure.
only becomes spammy and it only gets a knock on the algorithm when you start to do 2 or more posts a day, right?
Right.
Because the algorithm is so non-generous, there's no effect realistically when you're doing up to 2, which is why for certain clients we offer up to 2, right? But for us, it's really just like doing 2 good bottles of wine. Our way of explaining things is, 1 post a day with advertising is a good bottle of wine, right? Realistically, as I said to you before, the every second day posting, the main reason for that is budgetary. It's not about
Right.
it's not about knock on anything. In actual fact, I'd almost suggest that when we're doing it, because it's all about newsfeed, all of them are newsfeed based, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yours is not the sort of business, but just to let you know, we're getting greater organic reach on LinkedIn Company now than we do on Facebook
Right.
with exactly the same posting strategy, right? It's just because Facebook is great for your ads now, and Instagram is better for your organic, right? So as you said, they're more likely to see it in the feed. I don't know what your numbers are on Instagram, but they're more likely to be sort of 30 to 40% seeing the posts. And as you said, then you could run the risk maybe of people unfollowing. You've said you've actually have had a large unfollowing over the last couple of years. Is that right?
Yeah, since probably the start of last year, we probably lost about 2,500 followers.
Without knowing exactly who they are, I've actually had ones where we used to have a pet business that we were working with. I would almost you weren't always with it though, so sometimes it's questioning who your early day followers and how they advertised and targeted for those followers. Sometimes
Yeah.
those followers aren't good followers that you're losing. They could
Okay.
be very spammy in the first place. So
Right.
I've seen it where I've had clients that it was a pet photography business, right? So again, think pet porn realistically, right? So anything, they go well together, dogs and cats and they're photographers. They had 100,000 and that was the same. They started, I think, but they were dropping, right? They were no longer promoting for likes though. That's the other thing. And
Yeah.
Facebook doesn't really push you to do that anymore. So we don't ever use campaigns that promotes for following anymore, right? We generally promote for 3 main things, right? We promote for awareness, so just mass exposure, get large reach. Promote for engagement, so you actually are getting people talking, so their friends are going to see it and all that sort of stuff. Or we're just promoting traffic to get them to the website to find out more about what time you're open, what food you've got, what cafe, that sort of stuff. So that's the 3 campaigns we're usually using. Now that could be a video or it could be a still, but really they're the only 3. And then what we do is the people that engage with the posts, then we invite them to follow the page. So that's
Right.
the strategy we use. We don't ever suggest to people now they spend $1 a day or whatever it is on the likes campaign,
Sure.
particularly when you've got such a large following on Instagram. You don't need to promote for any more following over there. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
I think 18,000 plus people in your area is a lot of people.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
That's unreal.
You wouldn't need a high percentage of them coming in every week to make it a very, very
No.
profitable business, right? So yeah, but I think as you said, it might make sense if that's what you'd want to do is just do every second day and then
Well, yeah, as you said, for Facebook, I've always thought that we should be doing more. But I haven't been focusing on that too much myself. So
yeah
I'm not opposed to doing daily posts. Yeah, that was just a thought I had. But
yeah. So yeah, up to you. You can always turn up or turn down, so it doesn't really matter. So
sure.
and because I don't know when you got your coin and whether you're feeling flush, but you might want to look at a daily post, and then if you feel like that's too much, then we can do it. As I said, the main difference being daily post, which means Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and a
Yeah.
monthly report, as against a Monday, Wednesday, Friday post for every second month report. But our Wednesday post is usually an engagement post. So we go in onto
Sure.
Facebook. I think we've explained that, right? So we go in and try and make it that you've kind of got your finger on the pulse of what's happening around your area. So it's not really about you; it's about others. So what's happening in the community park? what's available to business people. I don't know. It just makes you part of that community, the shop local type,
Yeah.
mentality. Yeah.
Sure.
That's the idea, so that we're getting the attention of others. Yep. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah. So so that's the thing. Realistically, I think I mentioned to you last time. Um, so today, the audit and consult. Um, Again, we're happy to receive Bartercard on it, so that's
Yep.
fine by us. And then similarly, with this $935 day, that's a 5-hour day. Given
Yep.
you sort of said, how would we go working, getting you for that long? Would we need to split that up? Because we probably need 5 hours with you, and that
Yeah.
sounds
Look,
like
that's fine. If you just let me know when we can do it, then I can organize myself and
yeah.
yeah, be
So
available.
So normally Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays are better. So I imagine a cafe Friday's not going to be great, and I would almost think Thursday's probably not going to be ideal either necessarily. So
No, that's fine. I can. There's a couple of days where I can just get my manager and my staff to look after it. I don't
to
have to
run
be
it,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So well, really, it's just then a matter of deciding what works best for you in terms of I've got next Thursday's out, the following Tuesday's out. But
Yeah.
next Tuesday and next Friday are available, and or the following Thursday and Friday, I think. Yeah.
So, as in Thursday the 4th.
Thursday the 4th is out, just because
Yeah. Yeah.
believe it or not, I've got a training day on that day myself. Tuesday the
Sure.
2nd, Tuesday the 2nd is available, but then it would be, or as I said, Friday, we could do Friday the 5th.
Yep.
If you wanted to do Friday the 5th, it might
Let's
just
do Friday the 5th. Yeah.
Okay. Friday the 5th would just be a slightly, not an early start, if that's okay. It would just probably be a 10 o'clock, something like that.
That's fine. Yeah.
10 o'clock, okay? So it would be, as I said, we'd
Yep.
probably allow 10 to 3:30, allowing for a break to have something to eat, sort of thing. So, which,
Sure.
yeah. And we just do it like this. So just for me, I don't know if we said this last time, but see how at the bottom of this screen you should see a mic cam, and then there should be a share button there as well. So can you
Yep.
just see that you can share from your end? You should be able to.
Share to my screen.
Yeah, share your
Yeah.
entire
Share screen.
screen if you're able to, maybe.
Yep.
Because this is the laptop you normally use, yeah, for everything. Is this a
Yeah.
laptop
Yeah.
or a desktop? Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I stopped myself sharing actually was, so that might make it Oh yeah, no, there it is. So straight away, that's going to come in a second, I think. Yep, and then just click on a tab, click on a different tab up above, so you don't get the repeating screen if you're getting that. But yeah, no, that's good. So realistically,
okay. Cool.
we do that, and we just yeah, we find it. It's actually become better. It's one of the benefits of COVID. We realised pretty quickly, in actual fact, it saves people. They can do it in their comfort of their office or wherever it is, and realistically, it's like having us leaning over your shoulder. The idea being is you own all
Yeah.
this stuff. We just need to know that we can drive it and work through it. Yeah. Um, so
Sure.
I should also say that will be the last time you sort of really give it. You look like a tech savvy sort of bloke, having said that, but a few of our people that when we work with, they're exhausted by the end of it, right? So it's really
Yeah. Right.
draining their headspace,
Yeah.
um, and so yeah. But basically, we just do it all online on Whereby. We do record it as well, so that we can, if there's anything we do need to go back, we just keep that too. So we've got it as well. Yeah.
Sure.
So it'd just be a matter. So if we go and choose the next week, just confirming at this stage. So I would then do. So we'd go coin into for the management. Did you want to start at daily or every second day in the first instance?
To start with, I'm happy to pay, with cash rather than coin,
Okay.
just because I'm still building up my wallet.
Holding up your coin. Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
And then we can move on to coin a bit later on.
Okay, let's do cash. That sounds good. Anthony's happy with that because it's amazing how many coin clients you seem to have acquired, Anthony.
I
So
know.
he's probably
Yeah.
happy to hear that. So all that means is
my wallet actually got corrupted, so I've lost all my coin and starting
really?
again.
So
really?
how can you rectify that in any way?
No, I couldn't do it. So I unfortunately lost my seed phrase. So got to start all over again.
So that's the key, not to lose that phrase.
Yeah, and now I've got it everywhere. I've got it in a couple of saves on the email.
Yeah, I've emailed it myself. Yeah.
You don't want to lose that. Oh, jeepers.
The Friday next week, Steve, not the Tuesday next.
The 5th. Friday next week is the 5th.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, Friday next Friday.
Yeah.
All right, so well, in actual fact, Anthony, take note. You'll do the calendar invite for us. So Anthony will do the calendar invite for us, and we'll see you. And in between time, you'll get a checklist. So you do cash, but sorry, do you want to do every second day in the first instance, and then?
No, I think we'll go daily to start with.
Okay. All right. No worries. So we'll do daily, and then, as I said, and then we'll look at. It's most likely that you'll probably be looking at a up towards $10 spend, but somewhere between $5 and $10 ad spend. So that's good. So from a budget perspective, cool, awesome. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Fantastic. So in between now and probably early next week, what we'll do is, in fact, if not by the end of this week, Anthony will do the calendar invite this week, and then by early next week, we'll have checklist out to you. That checklist, nothing to be concerned about. It's just a matter of what we're going to work through. That's all. Yeah.
Sure.
So
go through it.
and we'll go through it on the day. Perfect. Oh, that's great. Oh, really good. As I said, that's been really good, and I'm going to stop recording now because we don't need to record any further.